There we go. So like I was saying, the title block usually houses information, project name, if you have an address, your sheet number, different things like that. Scale, if the whole drawing's per scale, sometimes you'll put, C drawing because you may have, especially on detailed drawings, you may have like 4 drawings on one page. Each one's a little different scale. Usually a place for revisions. So I'm just showing that here. We will do it. We'll leave a place for revision. This is basically what we're going to try to create today, just so you guys know. But title block should go on pretty much everything that you print out so that by the end, you essentially have like a set of drawings that you could give to, client, builder, manufacturer, someone, anybody. And so the title block is just this piece of information that tells you like general information about the project. You'll see different title blocks. They'll have different things. Sometimes they have, specific notes that are engineers. If they may have a set of notes that they use in every single drawing that they're going to actually bring in with their title block. For us, in this, we may actually grow it as we go, but for now, this is basically what we're going to have. So you can see that, there's a drawing name, and that could actually be varied because you may have multiple drawings, like I said. So you may have to modify the title block, which is really easy, especially once it's inserted in the drawing. And then sheet number, scale, you even have a little thing usually in there who it's drawn by. That way, if your boss wants to know who drew it, just so they could go back for the revisions, you kind of, usually it's initials. And then, like I said, the revisions, the project name, address lines. Sometimes you have places for like a consultant. So like if you're an architect and the engineer's acting under your license on the project, you usually put their information under yours inside of your title block. And then usually there's a logo or a stamp or seal or some sort. For now, the logo, I'm just going to use your guys' names just so I know who's who and, who's turning everything. And just, if you want to create a logo, as long as it has your name on it, I don't care. But you can have kind of free range with that one if you want to dive into it. So the first thing that I want to do, so I'm going to pull this over here because we don't need to look at it. First thing I want to look at is the layers tab because we kind of went over dimensions a little bit, and we'll do a little more dimensions once we get in there. Once we start getting some drawings on there, some lines on the board. So the layers tab is here. And so if you guys would all click layer properties, and mine pops off on the side. So you can see in here I've already populated some just so that I can show you guys kind of the style that you could draw with, or naming, structure, all that kind of stuff. So within here you're gonna have different information of how you can control your drawing. So right now we're drawing everything on layer 0, and the color's been white, the line type of default, the scale or the thickness of it's been default. We haven't printed anything, so we haven't really had a reason to do any type of layer adjustment and stuff. But generally speaking, so with your layers, you're gonna have multiple line thicknesses, which is all up here. So we'll dive into that more. But just depending on what you're drawing too, you may have your dimensions might be lighter, they might be darker, they might print in red so that you can actually visibly see them and notice that they are a dimension. So that's all the different things that you can do and control in here. So if you look, there's the first one is the checkbox, and I think that's just the status. So the little green check means that's the current layer that you're drawing on. So if I were to double click on one of these other little guys over here, you notice that it changes now. And you notice up here that it says object now. It doesn't say 0. That means I'm drawing on the layer of object now. Did you get stuck?
She's in a different command.
Hit escape 1,000 times.
1002.
Okay. So it's right here, Connie, right here. This one here.
Yeah, because
You
I
see
don't have that. I don't have it.
Yeah, we only have one layer in there. Just the
Right, no, yeah, you only have one layer right now. I haven't put it like I was. That's what I said. I created all these layers right now. You should just have 0. That's all you should have right now. I'm gonna show you how to create new ones right now, but for now you should just have 0. Did her ribbon go away?
I
didn't have it on the toolbar.
She wasn't on the tool, yeah, in the command bar.
Oh,
She was probably in another
Yeah,
part.
see, I don't have it either. Start drawing.
I guess.
hit start drawing. All right. So like I said, layer properties or the shortcut is LA. So, like I said, the first one is going to show your current layer. So your current layer is the layer that it's actually going to be drawn on.
Oh, I got you. That's over at 0.
Yeah, so you guys should all just have 0. You don't have any of these other ones yet. Then you obviously have a name of it, and then you have the next one, the little light bulb is on or off. So if I were to hit this, it's going to tell me, do you want to turn your current layer off? No, I don't, so I'm just going to cancel it. The other one is freeze or thaw. So if I freeze a layer, I can't move or modify that layer at the moment until I do it. So there's reasons you want to turn them off, freeze them and stuff like that, especially when you get like a real big, deep part of layers and you got things you're trying to grab and you can't grab that. It keeps grabbing the wrong thing. You go and you could freeze it, or you could turn it off, then grab what you want and modify it. So that's where you would do that. The layer lock is going to do the same thing. So you could lock a layer so you can actually modify it. Then you have color. Move this over already. So the color is essentially that. I mean, it's just the color that it's not the color that's gonna print. So you gotta remember that it's the color that is showing on your drawing. So, for instance, in my drawing here, you can see that these are different colors that are showing up, but they're not actually. And the only reason I do the different, you could draw in all white if you wanted to, doesn't matter. But the reason I do it is just because I know that color is associated with certain layers, just because that's what I've used. So you come up with your kind of own standards. Usually when you get into an office, they're going to have their own standards. So then the line type here is basically the style of line that you're going to have. So right now it's on continuous. So if I were to click it, and it keeps popping up over here. You can see I've already loaded in 2 different line types. And here in load, keeps coming over here. You can see they have a lot of different line types. So we'll get into some of them and what they're used for. A dashed or a hidden line, what it's used for, a center line, what it's used for. But that's where you can control that. So you can see down here, my object center actually has a line type of center. Then the line weights is the next one. And basically here, it's going to control the thickness of your line. So like I said, depending on what you're drawing, you're going to use different line weights and line thicknesses. If you're drawing an elevation, things that are closer to you are a little darker. Things that go in the background are going to be lighter. So we'll get into that, especially when we get into some of the presentation drawings, like the elevations and stuff, so you can start seeing. You can actually start reading what's closer and what's further away. The floor plans will be the same thing. Your dimensions, you never want the same thickness as your wall because you want to be able to tell the difference, or your object in this case. I'm just calling it an object for now because the first thing we're drawing is not. It's just that. It's just a part of something that I made up. So, then the transparency here is actually. I don't think it affects the plot as much as it affects your drawing. I've never once used the transparency in my life. I like to see it nice and bright so you can actually see it. The plot style here. Let's see. The plot style. So within here, when you go to the plot style manager, which we'll get into before we do our first print. So you can see here, color 7, 252, blah, blah, blah. So those are all different codes that the plot style manager is actually using. And right now, if you print to monochrome, which means everything goes black and white, basically all it's saying is tell it all these different colors right here, just print black. That's the default. But you can set up certain colors to print in color. For instance, like if you want something red, like a revision symbol or something that you want people to be able to see and stand out, then that's something that you can do too. So then here, the last one, you could actually set up non-print layers. So in this case, def points, which is an automatically created layer based on when you add a dimension into any drawing, your layer def points will automatically be created, and it is a layer that is not printed. So if you have grid lines or something that you're using, you could put them on a non-printed layer, or you could just call the grid lines layer non-print, and then you will always see them on your drawing. So when you're working on it, they'll be there, but you could turn on print non-print layer, so you go ahead and print it, and it won't show up. Use that a lot when I'm trying to center things. Like if I know the size of a cabinet is going to change, but that center line needs to stay. Sometimes I'll just leave it on the drawing and put it on a non-print layer so that I don't have to keep redrawing that center of that cabinet or something. Then the next one is basically, do you want this layer to show up in every new viewport that I create? I always default it as yes, because if you turn it off, then when you go to create a new viewport, you'll be like, where's my lines? It's because you probably hit this button on accident. But you can actually go into each individual viewport and turn off individual layers. So for instance, if you're drawing certain offices, I know will actually draw all of their drawings on one drawing. So they'll have a floor plan, they'll have their furniture plan, their finished floor plan, their HVAC system plan, and the ceiling plan. All of that's actually right on top of their stack, right? And then when you go into the viewports, that's when they change which layers are showing up. So, for instance, if you go to the floor plan, you could turn off the HVAC and the ceiling. Yes?
So this is all in the description?
No. This is all just the description is just notes that you could put in there.
Okay.
So, but I'm just saying this is under the new viewport, which was VP freeze. So if you were to click one of these buttons, basically, and you went down here and you created a new layout in the bottom, if you created a new viewport in one of the existing layouts, or you create a new layout which has a new viewport in it, that layer is not going to show up in that viewport. So once we get into the viewports and stuff, I'll start messing with it so you can see how you could turn certain layers off and stuff. So, like I said, if you have a floor plan, you don't want to show your carpet squares on there, you could turn that layer off. That's what I'm saying. Layers are really important to show each and individual, I always like to think of it like as a material property equals a layer. So a wall has different material properties than the floor, than the ceiling, than this desk, things like that. So you could always try to think of it that way. If you're drawing, you're drawing a landscape plan or something too. You may have curb cuts, the seams in the sidewalks and stuff like that you don't necessarily need to show on every plan. You know what I mean? So you may have trees that you don't need to show on every plan. So you're gonna have those on different layers that you're able to control, and you're able to see that. I'm just trying to give you a quick overview so you see what all these buttons are real quick, and then we'll use them today and how it works. But then the description is simply up to you. You could write in there, and what it really works for is when you have a lot of consultants on a job. So you can say if you just have AQRST or something, that may be an acronym that you and your field knows, but you give it to an engineer and he may not know what that means, and you can say, hey, that means this. You know what I mean? So they're able to open up your layers. They look at the layers, and they can see, okay, everything on this layer is this, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's real important. Layers. They really help. Especially if you're handing off a drawing to somebody else who didn't draw it, they can simply click on a line and say, oh, that's a wall. Okay, fine. I understand that. You know what I mean? So, or it's a flux capacitor, whatever, I mean, honestly, it could be anything. So I'm saying, so you have endless amount of layers that you can put on. I've never come up with a drawing that I couldn't add a layer to. I've come to drawings where I couldn't add a line into it. That's because there was just way too much information on this drawing, and my computer just couldn't handle it. But layers, I've never come up with that. So that's kind of layers as a whole. So in order to create a new layer, it's this icon right here. So the first one looks like a little kind of explosion. So you could click there, or in the actual palette, you could right click and you could see here that it has the different ones. So you could have set current new layer, which is what we're going to do. Rename layer, delete layer, change description. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create it. And I don't know what we should call it, but we'll call it, I'm just going to call we'll call it object 2. You know, we'll just call it object. I'm going to delete this one. So just call it object. Okay. So object essentially is what you would draw like a part on, so that you know that's what you're drawing. It's just a simple term that we can use for object, or for the layer style. So if you want to change the color to green, I'll show you how. You can leave it however you want, like I said. So you would simply just click on the word green. Another little dialog box will pop up. And you could pick from thousands of colors in here. You could pick from True Color, color books. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you could choose from. So if you like to draw it with bright pink, put bright pink. It's not going to bother me at all, because it's all going to print black anyway. So is everyone able to change a color on their object layer? Okay.
Does it have to be green?
No, yeah, so
Or
I
teal?
pick whatever, that's what I said, pick whatever color you want. If you want hot pink, put hot pink.
I can't stand hot pink. I
Okay.
like pink.
Light pink, okay. Like this one here?
No, I got teal.
This one?
No. I chose darker than that.
Okay. So generally speaking, I like to use, just for in my practice, I use all of these colors here, 1 through 9, right? All of these colors up here, I have created in my plot style to print as true color. So if I put a layer on 10, it prints 10. So it actually comes out as red. That's just the way I work. That's the way that I've set up the plot styles to do. Like I said, if you go into an office, I guarantee they're going to have their own plot style in there that's going to have different. Some people have actually set it up so that the colors will print certain thicknesses. You can actually change the thickness of the color. If you don't have the layer set up, you could just change colors. So some people have, I've seen drawings that everything's on layer 0, but there's 7,000 different colors, and all those print at different line types and line scales. So there's different things you could do. But like I said, generally speaking, these are all black and white. This will actually be a gradient. This being at 90% and this being at 10%. So this will actually print in gray, these colors here. It's just the way that I work. Just like I said, it's a better way to render what you're trying to show. I'm going to leave it as green for now, though. Now, for my line type, yours should say continuous. Let's change it back, right? So if you double click that continuous button, or you don't have a single click actually, you'll see another dialog box where it says select line type. So I want everybody to go ahead and hit the word load. Okay. Another dialog box pops up. So let's scroll all the way down to where it says center. And then go ahead and OK. Yes, I'll reload it. Yours shouldn't say, do you want to reload it? It should just be coming in the first time.
What was the name of it again?
Center. And what a center line is, you could see it actually. It's just a longer line, a space, a shorter line, a space, and then a longer line. And generally when you see that, that means that you're dimensioning something, or you're showing a center line. Like if you had like a column grid coming across here, usually that grid line is going to be on center. And all it is for builders to know that's the center. That's not to the outside, that's not to the inside, that's to the center of that object. So, but we're just using it just because I want you guys to see how it draws when you draw it on a different line and stuff. So go ahead, OK. In here, if you hit the line weight, it should be at default. So if we change it Oops, didn't mean that one. I don't know. Let's just put it at 0.5 for now. And then the rest of it, we're not even going to touch at this point. Like I said, I rarely touch any of this stuff because all of this is kind of controlled through my plot style anyways. So, oh, it is. You're right. I hit cancel.
No, you have to click on it. And then.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and you're going to double click on this till like a little green check mark comes up. Or you could right click and hit set current. Then you can go ahead and close out. You could either hit this auto hide or you could hit the X. If you hit auto hide, the palette will still stay up there. But you can see here, so I could just click on it for it to pop back up. And then if I come over here, it'll go away.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So generally speaking, I draw with two screens all the time, and my layer managers or layer properties is always open on my right side, on the other side, so that I could constantly, turn layers on, turn layers off, etc., etc., etc.
We're locked in now.
So, anyways, so now let's just create a rectangle, and we'll start at 0, 0. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do 17 wide by 11 high. So everybody should have a drawing that looks similar to this, where it's a green color or whatever color you guys picked. Like I said, and it's using the center line type
You said what was it, 17 what?
by 11,
Okay.
just like the paper. Anybody not have something that looks similar to this?
So when we put in, you said 14 wide and 11?
17,
17 wide, and then how do you do the dimensions for making it?
comma.
I put comma?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
17, comma. So remember, when you're doing things that have directions and patterns and lengths and stuff, generally your X and your Y is going to be separated by a comma.
Oh, okay, so it's always, if it's 17, 17, 0.
Well, 17, comma 0 is going to leave it, that's just a line. So you want 17 by 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But you instead of just putting 17, you
Yeah.
have to put the comma 0, right?
So 0, 0, right?
You know what, I messed it up. I hit enter right after I entered 17 comma in the first box, and then I put 11,
17.
right, comma,
No. So escape out of it and delete whatever you have.
okay.
We're going to do it one more time. Okay? All right, everyone pay attention. Just look at the screen. Okay? So first REC for rectangle. Okay? Then the start point is 0, 0. Okay? And then it's going to specify the other point. So I want it to be 17 in the X direction, which is the first one, and 11 in the Y direction. So you should be entering two different points, 0, 0, 17, 11.
Okay. Okay, well, it goes into the same column. How are you getting a different column? Are we keeping the same, it's all on the same strip?
So you have to
0, 0,
enter.
enter.
And then now you should see it should be like panning out if you move your mouse.
It said unknown command.
You put R.
So if we go back into the layer properties, so you hit the button or type in LA. You could actually go ahead and we're gonna turn off this layer. So if I click the little, it's gonna,
Center layer?
yeah, the layer that we just, the object layer.
Just double click it, right?
Well, so if you click the light bulb, it'll probably come up, this layer will be turned off. What do you want to do?
Oh,
Turn the current layer off. So now if I close my layer properties, you notice there's nothing there. Yeah.
Oh, I did a lot of work. Put it back.
So I want everyone to draw another rectangle, okay? So type in REC, and this time start it at 0, 20.
Do we have to click back to layer 0 or?
No, I'm just showing you, because Jordan actually did it on accident, so I just want to show you so you don't freak out when your drawing's not showing up, right? And then, so your first point is 20, 0, right? Then I want you to hit the @ symbol. So shift 2, and then I just want you to hit 20, 20, enter. So you can see I drew nothing, right?
20?
Yeah. So I drew nothing. So how do you think I get it back? So if we go into layers again, and I click the little light bulb, and if I close out, you're gonna see. Yeah. Did I say 20, 0 first or 0, I think I said 20, 0. I said 0, 20? Okay, I couldn't remember. Okay. If I did it right, I couldn't remember because I said something, I didn't do it.
Oh, there it is.
So, case in point, so if you accidentally hit it off when you're creating a new layer, just don't freak out. It's in there somewhere. So, if we go back into layers, LA, or layer properties, however you want to do it. So if I hit this little button right here, lock, okay, and then we're going to close it out. I'm just showing you what all these little columns kind of do, right? So now if I click it, so I want to highlight one of the objects, and let's just move it. Oh, it's telling me, if you read it, 1 was on a locked layer. So you can see that it's not actually letting you move that stuff. So some information that you want, you know that's perfect and you're not changing it. You could always put that on the locked layer. So we're going to go back into layers and we'll unlock it. And then let's just say, you know what, I don't like the way that green looks. We're going to make it cyan. It'll actually change the color in the drawing already. You don't have to redraw anything. It's already going to change that color. So for instance, if you have your plot style set up to print something in red and you decide, oh, I want that to be red, you could simply change the color of the layer and it'll actually print in red. You could change the layer to be on a red layer or what have you.
How about the line type? You could change that.
You can change the line type. See, you're ahead of me. So let's go ahead and let's load one, and I want you to load dashed. This one here.
On the same letter? Same
Yeah, the same one. Yeah. We're just changing stuff. I'm showing you how you can change it already when it's already in there. So it's dashed, not dash 2, just dashed. Okay? So if I go in here now, you can see the line type's a little different. Right? Okay? You can do the same exact thing. You can't tell right now because you're not plotting anything, but the thickness you could change too. Yes?
So how do you, let's say you drew something in layer 1 and you were supposed to be in layer 2.
You're getting too far ahead, man. Literally the next thing we're going to do. Okay, so everybody understand how to kind of change the properties of the layer that you're on currently? You can actually do it for another layer you're not even on. You know, when you're in here, you could change any of these and it'll update in the drawing. You don't have to be on that layer. Okay? So I want everybody to double click on 0 so that you have set that as your, or as the check mark next to the status is making that the set current. So this little piece of paper, looks like a piece of paper, so if you double click that, it'll change it to be that current layer.
Go back to the white pretty much?
Yeah, I just went on 0. I'm going to do one thing just so it looks like your guys'. Yeah. Okay. Now it should look like yours, right? Looks more like, well, you guys still have this one because they won't go away. Okay, so I want to create a new layer. So we go here. What do I want to call it? I don't know what I want to call it. Let's call it TB underscore outline. So underscore is shift and next to the plus. I always do everything in all caps. You don't necessarily have to. Again, it's your personal preference. Up to you. TB for title block.
Or not tuberculosis, right?
No.
Underscore.
Outline. And you could come up with your own nomenclature if you want, but it's just like I said. For now, you can use this one, or you could call it whatever you want. You can leave it as layer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if that If you understand it, that's all that matters. So we're gonna change the color, and we're just gonna leave it as green. Hopefully you changed your object to something else. If not, do so now. Okay. Let's set that one to the current layer. Okay. So you could double click on that. You could right click, hit set current. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and close out of that. Now what I want you to do is draw. We'll do a rectangle. Okay.
Just like current, right? For the layer?
Yes. So it should be on TB outline.
Yeah.
So I want you to type 0.25, comma 0.25. So 1/4 by 1/4 for the start point. Okay. So
What was that again? I'm sorry.
the start point of your rectangle.
Yeah.
0.25, comma 0.25. Then enter. And then the at symbol, shift 2. And it's going to be 14 1/4, 14.25 wide. And the height is going to be 10 1/2.
Starting point's 0.25, 0.25.
Yeah.
And 14.25 and 10.5.
Yeah. That's why it's up there. That's why I scrolled it down. You'll see some of your guys is only like one line wide. And if you guys want to see more, I could always scroll up. I could show you tons of things that are up here. So. Yeah.
What was the size of the rectangle?
14 1/4, 14.25 by 10 1/2. Okay. Everybody got a rectangle? Or no, not really. Good? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. So now I want everybody to offset the bottom line here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And I think we're gonna do a 1/2 inch, right? Yeah. So we're gonna offset it with a construction line because I only want to offset this line up from here to there. That's it. I don't want to offset it the whole box inside. So we're gonna type in XL. Okay. And then up here, you can see horizontal, vertical, angle, bisect, offset. So we're gonna type in O, or you can click the button offset. The distance that I want is 0.5. Then I'm gonna click on the lower half or the lower part, this part right here. And then we're gonna click into the middle of the rectangle.
The first point is 0, right?
For what now?
The first point, for the specify the point is 0.
What, are you in the construction line now?
I mean the X line.
Yeah, so you don't even need to hit a point. You're just gonna do offset.
Offset. Oh.
Yeah. And then then it's gonna say the distance, and you can do 0.5. So let's do it one more time. XL, extra large, offset, or O. You can simply type O. Then it's gonna say specify the distance. So do 0.5. Click the bottom line. Click up into the center. 0.5. Half of a unit. In this case, it's all inches, but 0.5 is just easier to say half of an inch. Okay. Then we're gonna trim it off. So trim TR, and then you're gonna select the outer boundary box, the first box that you drew. Oop.
What command are we on?
Trim. Do you have the extension line set or no?
It didn't do the line yet.
Okay. So everyone's here, right? So now we're gonna do trim. TR, or up in the modify guy up here, trim, this one, right there. Then we're gonna select the 14 1/4 by 10 1/2 box, or the second box you drew, second rectangle. So this guy right here, right?
TR trim.
Then you're gonna hit spacebar or enter. Then we're gonna click the outer portion to offset it there.
So we're trimming that outside.
Yeah. Basically.
Can you repeat that process?
Sure. So trim.
Now?
Select this box on the outside. You don't have to. I'm just showing you because you want to get it all the way in there. So there's two different ways. So if I didn't click anything and I click this, you see how this gets left over?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I want you to select this because I know I want to trim it all the way back to that box. So you're going to select this. Oops. Sorry. I was already too far. So you select this line, or the rectangle, I should say, polyline. Then you're going to click the outer portion. And then you're going to click the other outer portion. So you should be, and then hit spacebar, and you should be left with a line that is essentially 14 1/4. That's a 1/2 inch offset from the border. Cool?
Yep.
All right. We're going to add another layer. So we go to layer properties. New layer. And we're going to say TB, underscore, and we'll just call it inner. And I'm going to change mine to yellow again. You could use however you would like.
TB inner.
TB inner.
Extra continuous.
Just continuous is fine. It's a solid line. Oh, I didn't change mine to yellow, did I?
Lightweight.
Oh, no, I haven't changed it yet. Just leave it as default for now. It's fine.
We're changing the color, right?
Yeah. So let's say you drew a line on a layer, but you want it to be on a different layer, right? What do? You have to erase it and redraw it? Of course not. There's a few different ways you could do it. So the first one would be if you select the line that you want to change. Oops. Come on, exit. Wow, I'm stuck in a command. There we go. Got it. So we select that line there, and then if you come up here where you could actually see like the little drop down with the layers, and I simply hover over the layer we just created and I click it, it'll actually change the layer to that. That's one way. The other way is through properties. So if we type in PR, it should bring up your properties tab. So if I select this one, you could see in here that it actually tells me color, and then here it's going to tell me, and I could simply pick that inner there. Then the third way is, let's say I happen to have another line that is already on the layer I want to use. Again, like we kind of did this before once, but I'll show you again. Match properties works wonders. So you can simply click the one that you want, and then click the one you want to change. So the shortcut for match properties is MA.
MA, and then you just click the line.
MA, enter, then you click the line that you want it to be, and then click the one you want to change. So different ways to change the same thing, essentially. Right? Cool. So the next thing we kind of want to do is we're going to create text inside of the title block, but it's not normal text. So normal text, when you have to kind of edit it piece by piece by piece. But because we're creating a block that's going to come in, we're going to actually give it an attribute so that when you enter it in the drawing, a prompt will come up and say, hey, what is this? And it'll actually give you, a description of what it is. That way, so it's used for the title block just so when you enter something in, like I said, in this one here, you can see drawing name. These are all attributes here so that when I insert this block into a new drawing, this information pops up and says, hey, what do you want to do with this? What do you want, so it's Excuse me. That's why you don't have to keep going in and changing every single one. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and underneath block, there is define attribute. So if you're here in the block, the arrow button is here, and the shortcut command, which isn't really a shortcut, ATTDEF. Not much of a shortcut, but so if we go ahead and click that, you're gonna have a dialog box that pops up. So everybody get the dialog box. So in here is literally the information that is going to control this attribute right now. So what an attribute is, like I said, is a piece of text that when you insert it into a drawing, you're going to get a prompt. And you'll see, once we get finished with this, we're going to insert it into a drawing, and you'll be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, it really saves a lot of time. You're not copying and pasting text and going and changing it and then move, just it helps speed up all the process for the commonly used things like project name, project number, project title, who drew it, blah, 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 blah. So for this one, we're going to call it, the tag is going to be drawing name. And you have to use an underscore in the tag for any space if you want a space. If you put a space in there, it's going to say error, can't do it. So make sure you have a space. The prompt, so there's different ways you could do it. You could say, like, you could literally ask yourself a question. What is the drawing name? If that's what you're trying to input. So typically I just put drawing name. Then you can put a question mark. You should be able to put a question mark, I think.
No underscore? No underscore in that one?
Only in the tag do you need an underscore. And then the default, so the default, what it's going to do is if you just hit enter, the default's going to show up. So we're just going to put drawing name. And then for the text height, I think it's 1/2 inch. Oh, 3/16. 0.1875. 0.1875. Rotation 0. We want to leave it all. Yeah, we don't want to change. We don't make it invisible or anything like that.
How'd you get the measurement from your tick site?
Oh, I'm looking at the other drawing that's on the other screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just seeing what I drew there.
So then do we have to put the same?
Yeah, 0.1875 for the text height, or it's 3/16. You could type in 3/16 and it'll adjust. And then if we go ahead and hit OK. Anybody got an error? I heard an error. No? Someone forgot to put underscore. It happens all the time, trust me.
Oh, there it is. I was like,
So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to place it at the bottom corner, or it's the quarter by quarter corner for now. We're going to move it right now, so.
Can we put a specific location, like?
You can, yeah, but I just want you guys to move things too. So I'll teach you. But yeah, you can place it on. You can enter a coordinate, and it's gonna coordinate basically left justified because that's what we left it as. If we put center, it would do the center justification, things like that, which you could always modify in properties too, which we will show you. Okay, so does everybody have some sort of attribute? Yeah? Guillermo's probably says go Rams or something.
Not right now. They're not going.
Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is... Yes?
We're on the outline layer? Or?
Right, yeah, we're going to change the layer right now, yeah. It doesn't matter what layer you're on. Yeah. Because I just wanted you guys going to have it change...
Right now, I switched it to... I just didn't know
No, you're fine. We're going to change it right now to a whole new layer, but it's just repetition. So you change layers, change it, because you're going to be constantly changing layers. Because you're going to forget to change your layer to something that you want to draw, and you'll be like, oh, I need to change my layer, like always. You end up drawing most of it on 0 anyways and moving it to whatever you want. You know what I mean? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move it up. So everybody should have ortho on right now.
Also on F8.
Yes. See, give yourself enough credit.
So we're gonna select it or?
Yeah, select it, move.
Oh,
Make sure you have your ortho on. No, sorry. Doesn't matter because I'm gonna move it a destination. Turn on F8. And we want to move it up 3/16 of an inch. So 0.1875. Cool. And then we're gonna move it to the right the same distance. Cool. All right, so like he said, it's obviously on the wrong layer because it's not the outline, it's actually text. So we're gonna go into layer properties and we're gonna do a new layer. TB underscore text. I'm gonna change mine to magenta just because that's what I'm used to. Like I said, doesn't matter what you guys do. You can change it to whatever layer you want, whatever color. Then you do select, and then you're gonna hit text and hit escape.
so this is
Zoom out.
what's
Yes,
the name of this one?
I'm sorry.
What's the name under the tab that we're changing the color?
You're under layer
Is
properties.
it a TB inner?
TB text is what I called mine.
TB text.
You talk about the layer name.
Yeah, like all the, you know, the drawing underscore name.
What do you?
What we call that?
It's an attribute.
Attribute.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna show in the property box, in the layer property box.
No.
It's not gonna show.
No.
So how do we change the name, the color in that?
So you would create a new layer, call it TB text, then you come over and change the layer, and then change the object to that layer. Everybody able to create a new layer and move their attribute to the new layer? No, Connie? No?